Let's take a look at what's happening in our papers today, and also just to remind you of our question of the day. Do you think the standard gauge railway tendering process was above board? Do you think the standard gauge railway tendering process was above board? You can also share your views with us on that.
Absolutely. You can tweet us at Joint Bear. You can tweet us at James Smart at KTN Kenya. And also this platform, be able to take your cue and hear about that. We're following that for you. There's a special conference that shall be on in about an hour or so, where all parties, civil society, economists, and the public will be discussing the standard gauge railway. We hope to get a lead on exactly the problem.
That's right.
SGLs.
So you want to take us through the standard today?
Absolutely. The top on the standard today, dirty tricks that blew up Jubilee laptop project. Again, that story that was covered for you when we were taking 24.6 billion. And it all stems around the Olive company that was given the tender to do this. Now, they need two things. They need to have to be original producers of these of laptops. They're not, and also they need to have financial capability commensurate to this project, and they don't have that.
One is actually starting to wonder what is happening to the so many projects that the Jubilee government, is trying to initiate or trying to put in place. And I think now questions are coming back as to why the tender was not given to a company back home.
Indeed, and the question is, flipped backwards. The Kenyans and economists here and everyone, industrialists have said it would have been much easier to set up, to use 24 billion as a seed money to set up Kenya's first and probably only computer company, and would have had the jobs here, would have transferred the skills from whatever company back at home, and this would have a whole industry would have grown out of this. So one wonders why Olive was particularly picked, a company that was not clearly not a manufacturer of laptops, number one, not original manufacturers. The number two, they don't even make 1 billion in a year. So it raises a lot of questions, and the question that will be asked of this is the government officials, including starting with the Cabinet Secretary of Education, who vehemently defended this tender process and should be taken to task.
I know, and the bit that actually gets people thinking is the fact that these laptops were meant to be supplied to the school-going kids in January 2014.
100 days.
Yes, and actually we have exceeded that time, gone beyond it, so we're running behind schedule on this. But according to what the Cabinet Secretary says here, Kamini, he says that they settled on Olive as it was the lowest bidder after Air, Electrical, and Hewlett Packard Europe. Now, you actually get to see that there are quite a number of questions. They were going for, was it the cheaper bid, if I might put it that way?
Yeah, but the original question is, first, someone has to qualify for the tender. They have the processes, first, the first qualification was they must be original manufacturers.
Right.
They were not. The number two, they need to have a commensurate, because they're giving them a 24 billion project. They need to have the capacity commensurate, financial capability commensurate of this. They didn't have. So it didn't matter whether they were going to give us laptops for a shilling.
And well, the tender appeals team found out that the board discovered Olive got more detailed brief, and there were illegal alterations to specifications. Also, the board found that Olive didn't have the financial capacity commensurate with the 24.6 billion shillings contract. Now, there are a lot of irregularities here with the laptop project. I do not know how they're going to rethink this, but I hope the decision at the end of the day is going to be one that is meaningful to Kenyans.
Well, absolutely. So the Public Procurement Authority, Oversight Authority, has reopened the tender, blocked Olive from that fresh tender process, and leaves about 3 or 4 that had originally tendered. So they would look from those 3 who has the best capability, who has financial commensurate, and it's not just about the issue of cost here. I think the conversation will be taken out from Kenyans to establish that company. So that will never happen. It's going to happen, but this process has been kicked on. It has to continue, and someone has to be given that tender.
Right, and also Olive had quoted 1.4 billion shillings over and above the original price, but now they're saying that in the new tender, it won't go beyond 23.2 billion Kenyan shillings. There we go.
Absolutely. On page 2, Anti-Drugs Agency fails to account for 150 million shillings. Director General Edward Uko has told MPs that the National Authority for the Campaign Against Drug Abuse, NACADA, failed to account for 115 million shillings. The report tabled in the National Assembly yesterday. All courts notified MPs that Nakada paid a principal secretary 1 million for a conference, but that money appears to have disappeared.
Now, the amusing bit, James Smart, here is the auditor added that 59.8 million shillings that is said to have been spent on the district's alcoholic drinks regulation committee operations was not supported by the documentary evidence. And the auditor also indicated that Nakada staff at the district level he indicted the Nakada staff at the district level for losing 14 million shillings because of several improprieties as they collected license fees.
Absolutely, that's definitely pointing out just from one scandal, from one issue to the next. The Auditor General pointing an accusing finger at the Nakada administration. Yesterday, we did host the chairman of Nakada. We didn't touch on the issues that surround this because he has been quite vocal in fighting the CEO that is Wanu Kedi. And the issue had been around management of the resources and management of Nakada. So interesting to see how this pans out after this Auditor General report.
Well, still keeping it with page 2, you can look at a report there that says more men got jobs in public service last year, and there were more men than women recruited into the public service in the first half of 2012-2013 financial year. That is according to the Public Service Commission. And of course, people with disabilities as well, still being left out, but at least being given an opportunity here and there. On page 3, family of 5 survives Matatu road crash. You did see that on the news. That was one of our leading stories there. The accident that occurred along Eldoret Kisii Road brings to total over 30 people that have been killed only this month. And that is on page 3 of today's Standard paper.
Well, so he's a man, his wife, and his 3 children, and all of them survived this accident. A miraculous story. But pointing out to what I think the traffic commissioner had pointed out that in the December, or running to December or January, we had few incidents or accidents, if you like, but it appears we've thrown caution out of the wind, and we're getting back to the situation of accidents and things like this. Quite unfortunate that we keep losing lives.
Do you think that the issue of us having speed governors in our public service vehicles is going to be one of the solutions to, bringing down the number of accidents we have on our roads?
I think that coupled with police doing what they need to do, if police were doing the checks on every little place they need to be, definitely you would know unroadworthy vehicles, because you see hundreds of unroadworthy vehicles. If you drive from here to town, you see dozens of them. So it's coupled with that. Police have to do their job.
All right. And if you look at page 4, we're seeing crisis looming in public universities. Sharon Mumanye did highlight this issue, and, she did also mention that this morning there's going to be a deliberation on the same. Now, at the center of the dispute is full payment of the second phase of the 7.8 billion shillings salary award that the lecturers negotiated way back in 2012. The money was to be paid in 2 phases. Half of the negotiated money was paid in December 2012. The remaining 3.9 billion is the bond of contention.
And you have to be very clear that the university dons are not asking for new monies. They're not asking for a negotiation of the salaries. This was what was awarded to them in 2012 from the original they went on strike. And they were given about 7.28 billion. I think that's about a percentage of the salary, and was supposed to be paid off in 2 phases. So the first phase was done, the second phase has not been done. That is what they're saying, we need us monies to be given. I understand from the government point of view, they're saying we sent the money to the university. The university, has to figure out what they did with the money, to pay this. So an interesting story there. But just staying on that story, on the bottom right of that story, students gone rampant over power blackouts. Never understood why this happens. The Section University Nairobi students went on rampage on Monday night, blocking sections of the highway and university to protest power blackouts at their institution. Passersby and motorists said they were robbed of the valuables in brief rampage that happened around 8 p.m.
I think it also does affect the academic performance. Where else are they supposed to do their studies if not at or within the vicinity of the university? Not that I'm supporting the strike, but I think...
I'm ready to check on you on this one. It doesn't matter whether there's a blackout or not. How is it affecting motorists who are doing about their business? How does it even give an inkling of them go and robbing motorists it has, this is just pure hooliganism. You
Well,
can't defend it.
The OCPD, Patrick Oduma, says our officers managed to contain the situation, but some people had been robbed. The students were complaining of persistent power blackouts at their
So how is
hostels.
robbing people doing power back?
Well, I think that is what comes with everything that has to do with the demonstration and a strike with university students. They always turn out to be these rogues that, fail to get out of hand and always have to be controlled by the police.
It's unacceptable completely. I don't understand why you have to go and do a demonstration at night. First it is a risk to the demonstrators themselves. It's at night. It's a security risk. So what would they blame if for an unfortunate incident that the police opened fire at night?
Okay, now let's look at page 6 of the Standard, where most Kenyans are not ready for the digital TV switch, according to a survey. And if you did watch the story that Betty Kialo highlighted, they're saying the average time spent on TV per week nationally is 25.9 hours. In Nairobi, it is 25.2 hours, and the capital has the highest incidence of TV viewership. There's about 91%, with Northeastern being the lowest, with 29%.
Indeed, interesting. In Nairobi, about 517 TV owners between 4th and 5th this month, and the data was collected through telephone interviews. So do you have a set-top box?
Yes, I do have a set-top box.
So you're one of the Rubens who are on the top.
Yes, but if you look at the programming on the local terrestrial, if you look at when you have a set-top box vis-a-vis to when you don't have it, I think that there's a lot that needs to be done still. When you look at the programming that is being laid out on there, I think a lot needs to be done, and that is where the media houses come in now to play that role of introducing the Kenyan viewership to different programming. Like you did see, Northeastern happens to have the lowest viewership. That is probably because they do not even have the signal to view television on the local terrestrial.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the developing issues in this country. Like there's a case that is still lodged in the courts that the Media Owners Association asked for a stay in wanted. So interesting to see how this pans out and how it goes.
Well, on page 8, a woman of 90 wants son out of her land, and a case in which a 90-year-old widow is seeking to block her son from taking her land was adjourned to next Tuesday. Kitui Acting Chief Magistrate Alfred Kibiru said that he had allowed the defense's application but warned the matter should not be disposed in urgency owing to the advanced age of the plaintiff, and Kibiru fixed the hearing for the 18th of March.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Read about that intrigue of the family issues and the family drama. Well, moving on page 10, even with the new constitution, the Kenyan woman remains aligned. Mentioned about women getting less and less employment on the civil service compared to the male counterparts in men. So an interesting piece there. Let's read about 1 year on of the polling anniversary and a new constitution that is supposed to be more progressive. Indeed, women are still not getting their fair share of what they're supposed to get.
Well, you can also take your eyes through page 14 of the Standard, where there is the editorial bit. It is greed, not salaries, that need to be trimmed, and this is one of the commentaries here. And the writer does focus on what started as an act of philanthropy by a magnanimous president and his deputy taking pay cuts has kicked up a storm with revelations that other civil servants have their pay slips on their chopping board. And, well, that is the debate right there that is going on. Now, if you take a look at the extra as well that is in today's Standard, you will take a look at the bigger story where they're talking about abandoned street children struggle to find a safe haven. And there you go. If you look on the inside, they're looking at different children who have been abandoned and also why they have been driven out of their homes. And one of the issues here they're talking about is the fact that most of them are maltreated from their homes. Another street boy who was born in a street family and has been a street child all his life did tell the writer that he was caught by the council askaris and taken to Joseph Kungethe. But they were often bitten, and he saw the workers pouring boiling water on children for minor infractions.
So that's another story that has been a big part of the society in the country, and it's an issue how to deal with the street families and street children. It's a big issue that receives less and less attention from the government, and if any, that is. And it's an issue that basically has been taken over, by say, well-wishers, and religious, facilities and things like that. So it's something that, that needs to be, really carefully thought about, and the government needs to, come out strong on this issue, I think.
Right. There's also something to do with the Kenya at 50, but you can also read that. Just grab yourself a copy of today's Standard paper and see what is written up in there, and also the fever pitch, of course, where you will have all the updates in the world of sport, as you will get all the local and international sport at your free will.
Well, the Daily Nation laptop project dealt low by tender board. Indian firm that won the contract should not have gone beyond early stage of evaluation road rules. That the story that also that was led by the Standard. Indeed, continuing there, also covered for you on that Daily Nation. On the top is 15 years Matatu rolls into Valley. Relatives, 5 relatives survive. You didn't read about that. Also on page 2, the laptop story that has been covered for you quite extensively. Moving on page 5, ICC witness warned against war of words. Well, stick to answering questions posed by lawyers, not asking others. A judge, that's ICC judges that warned a prosecution witness against arguing or questioning defense lawyers as the trial deputy president William Ruto and former broadcaster Joshua Arap continued. The presiding judge Chile Musuji to witness P0442 to only answer questions as put to her, and that she was free to seek clarification if she did not understand them. However, the president judge said did not entail shooting back questions at the defense counsel.
Well, the back page of the Nation as well has viewers shunning the costly digital TV, and you'll find the reasons as to why they are shunning. That is partly because the set-top boxes need to be subsidized according to the digital migration poll. And if you take a look at what they're arguing here, if we were to move to digital now, many would not watch television. That is according to Ipsos MD Maggie Ireri. But take a look at the Star as well this morning, and the front page reads, Raila takes a break from politics. Wow.
Well, the former premier is away, I think, in the U.S. For a month or so. Yesterday, we understand that he appointed former Secretary General Anyongo as the party leader while he's away. So that story leads from this time. That from the premier.
There's also still another story on the front page that says the JSC roasted over the sacking of Gladys Boss-Shule, and that after she was actually declared not guilty at all and being unfairly dismissed. Well, you can also take a look at that story there.
Indeed, and Olive, that $2 billion laptop tender cancelled, covered for you quite extensively then from the Star. Indeed, and also want to read that how China Farm may not have done a real study that continuing about the standard gauge railway and the issues surrounding that railway. We are going definitely to be talking and just the conference, the public conference that is going to be held much later today, an hours from now, on just what are the issues surrounding the standard gauge railway. Economists, former civil servants, civil society, and the public at large will be able to offer their views on the standard gauge railway.
So, if you look at the People paper, how members of parliament are scheming to evade a pay cut. Would you scheme to evade a pay cut if you're a member of parliament?
Well, I think this is the wider issue here is that, I mean, and as was covered correctly by Asha Mulu, if the 20% is taken, 20% cut is taken by the top civil servants, even by members of parliament, we'll save about 800 million shillings. The issue today is that we're spending 550 billion shillings, half of our collective revenue in paying salaries. it does not even scratch the surface of the issues that we're dealing with. So the issues that we're supposed to be dealing with, this government should tackle head-on, is operational cost, the seating allowances, and the issues like this. So the issue of pay cut, I think, is, neither here nor there issue. I mean, MPs, will have their day, time and day in the floor of the House, and they will decide how they want to go. But the general consensus as of now is that just cutting pay itself does not even begin to address the issue of the public wage bill.
Wage bill, that's right. But if you look at what Member of Parliament Fufafi is saying, I will not and cannot let anyone touch my salary. The money I pay in taxes and what I'm paying as mortgage is enough. What do you make out of that thought process? Because at the end of the day, it's not even about the public wage bill. But I honestly think that knowing that the members of parliament in Kenya are among the highest paid on the African continent, maybe one way or another they need to rethink that and maybe take heed to what the president is trying to say. If they can accept a pay cut, how is it going to change, the high public wage bill?
Absolutely. On page 5, court now blocks varsity staff strike. That is a conversation that continues about the towns going on strike. About 30,000 university staff and employees will today go on strike. And about that, this morning there will be an industrial court just to canvass about this issue. Another busy morning for you on the news. Grab your copy, favorite copy of your Daily Today to get the top of the news.
All right.